Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Or if it's your first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Marlene and I talk about everything related to eating disorder recovery and healing the relationship with your own body, with food and with movement. And we're gonna dive right in as we always do. And today I want to talk about a topic that I'm pretty sure everyone knows, and that is recovery makes everything worse. And I'm working with a couple of clients right now, and this is actually the point where a lot of clients start to reach out. And that is when they already started recovery, but they kind of start to feel stuck and kind of everything feels worse. I want to tell you about my experience with recovery because I experienced the same thing. There was a point in my recovery where, like at the very beginning, everything was super exciting. I was so excited to finally be able to eat again. I was so excited to rest again, to try all those foods, to not starve myself again, all these great things. But after a couple of weeks, that actually wore off. My body started to change very quickly, and everything started to feel very heavy. And not only speaking of my body's weight, but everything started to feel so bad. I actually got very depressed. I had depression before, but my depression came up way harder than it was ever before. I felt so sad, I felt guilty, I felt ashamed. I had all those quote unquote negative emotions. I was crying a lot, I couldn't stop crying. I hated my body, I wanted to go back, and everything felt so bad. And my biggest issue was actually my changing body. And a lot of clients that I work with say the same to me. They're like, I'm eating, I'm doing all the things. Everyone thinks I'm doing better when I'm actually doing worse. And this discrepancy is also something that feels so hard because people around you might even make comments or be like, oh, I'm so glad you're doing so much better, when you actually feel horrible. And I want you to know that this is a very common stage in recovery. That doesn't make it any easier at the moment, but it definitely helps to understand that this is not just you. That doesn't mean that you can't recover. Unfortunately, a lot of people go through it, but if you stick with recovery, you will overcome that state. And I actually just did some research on why that is. And a big topic, of course, is neural rewiring. As you guys know, I love to talk about it just because it makes so much sense to me. So the more often we think a certain thought, the more our reticular activating system in the brain tries to find proof for that thought. So if you've been telling yourself for years and years that you can only accept your body if you're under a certain BMI or at a certain weight or as thin as possible, or whatever you are telling yourself, your brain is finding proof that this is true. And eventually your brain believes that, which means you believe that. And so it is very, very hard to change that belief. Another part is that you get very used to the body you live in. Our bodies and our brain are actually super good at adapting, which is amazing and which can be very helpful in many, many ways. But when it comes to eating disorders, our bodies and our brains adapt to the state that we're in for so long. So when we start to change that state, it feels so bad because we adapted to it. Our brain adapted to it. The good news is your brain can adapt again, but it takes time. And our body changes so much faster than our brain does. In my case, I was actually weight restored very quickly, and then I overshot my set point weight by a lot. And all that happened in a matter of a couple of weeks. It was really going very quickly because I came from a very malnourished state and my body was just trying to hold on to everything that it would get, which of course makes sense. But when I was in that state, it felt horrible. I was mad at my body. I felt ashamed for my body changes, and it was very, very hard for me to keep going. But then I started to learn about why that is, why I felt that way, and why everything feels so wrong. And I started to understand that my brain just needs more time, which also meant that I had to continue doing the things I was already doing. I had to continue resting. I had to continue eating. I had to continue to challenge my fear foods. And over time, there came the point where my brain finally adapted to this new me. And I finally lost the fear of a changing body. And I finally started to accept my body. I still didn't love it, and I was still very insecure about it. I still had the urge to justify my changing body and to tell people, oh, I'm just coming from a restrictive eating disorder. This is why my body is putting on my weight, which is of course something we should never have to do. But I definitely had these urges. But I was also able to see the pros of recovery a little bit clearer. That took at least 10 or 12 months for me. And it still took more time to actually completely accept my body the way it was. And my body has been changing a lot. There were times where I put on some more weight, there was time when it lost some weight, and it all happened naturally. But the good thing is I don't put my value to it anymore. If I would wake up tomorrow and I had an injury and I couldn't walk and I couldn't work out, I would still eat. And if my body would change because of that, I would be able to accept it, because I trust my body enough to know that it can handle food. And I know that my body is just doing what's best for it. And if my body feels like it needs a little bit more weight, or it can let go of some weight, that is fine. But I'm so in tune with my body now, which happened due to recovery. But it definitely took me a long time. And I'm not saying that to discourage you or to let you know, oh, it always takes a long time. But I'm telling you that so that you understand the state that you're in is a temporary state. And I remember how hard it felt. Trust me, there were so many days where I didn't think I could continue. But I did, and now I'm here and I am in this state of body acceptance. I don't always love my body. I don't always love what I see in the mirror, but I don't have to. We're all human, nobody does. And I understand that sometimes the vision I have of myself changes a little bit. And it also has a lot to do with my overall mood. When I'm in a bad mood already, I might not be as acceptant as I am when I'm in a great mood. But once I understood that all these things are more than natural and human, I detached my worth from my body. And you can get there too. I just want you to remember that the state that you're in will pass. I know how hard it is, but it doesn't mean that you cannot recover. It does mean that your brain needs a little more time. And I know how discouraging it can be if people around you assume that you're not bad anymore, that you're so great again, that you're so well again. But that's where you can start to use your words. That's where you can start to set boundaries. You can say, actually, I'm not feeling great at all. And if you make a comment about my changing body, it actually makes things worse. I know that I might have changed, but I still struggle a lot. And depending on if that's a person you trust or not, you can also ask them to support you in some things. Or you can just leave it like this and just tell them what's going on. I really hope that video helped at least a few of you, if not all of you. And if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments. And I would also love if you could leave a like, if you could subscribe to my channel, and also tell other people about it, because I would love to grow this channel to reach more people. As always, I will see you in the next one.